he didn't coming out of a bill. And I've seen Carol.
They go to the super bowl here.
Nope. I think you're good to go.
You know, on the cameras up and running.
Yep.
Okay, it was January 24th at 4:01. We'll start with roll call. Dave.
Here.
Robert. Yep. Brent. Here. John.
You.
Norm, my president. Bill, I don't see. Todd.
Here.
Pete said he would not be here. And Tracy. Here. Okay. First thing on the agenda is approval of minutes from last meeting. Motion to accept.
I'll start it.
Okay, we got a motion to accept and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Ayes, passed. Move on to our financial report, ledger. And we'll be glad to hard to read this.
There's no bitchy bitties. I'll hold it over here. They good thing. It's small and you gotta hold it away.
So the financial statement is the same as last meeting. You've not had any expenses since January 3rd, which is Brighton Analytical Lab for the Birch Bay additional samples.
Yep.
Current balance is $32,560. Also included in the report is the summary of the bank account that proposing be opened to handle the account. Everyone got this through email. You also got the information on the following page. There's a question about the fee was brought up, which is 20 cents per $100 over a $15,000 monthly deposit. You know, you're looking at 3 times of the year, perhaps you might hit that. And I did a mock budget for through the end of next year, which includes the river, Par Beach, permitting, samples. You'd look at $700 in fees versus $13,400 in interest. To me, the interest rate is more than enough to compensate for that. I think going with a no fee option with a lower rate is not going to have the same type of return on the money. So
Yeah, I can't believe you got 5.5.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'll make a motion to accept the report.
All right. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any public comments, Tim, from last website?
Nope, nothing there. 2 comments that came in, email online before the meeting. I believe John Schultz asked if we could meet at a more friendly time for people's schedule in the evening, for people who work. That's on your guys' Facebook. And then Jerry Siegler had a question about the minutes from last meeting about whether or not we are going to include the boat ramp as part of this RFP. Said, that's a George question, so I moved over to George, haven't heard anything. But if we do, we need to get those specs put in. Right now, they're not, so those are the only 2 comments that I've had.
Okay, Steve had a ramp, George. We have lake and bottom money, is that what you're thinking for that?
We do, or it can just come out of our regular expense. It's gonna have to be addressed one regardless. If we're digging out 24 inches on either side of it and at the end of it, we can't have it sitting on a berm. It'll just crack and break.
My only other thought on that slab is I don't know if they're gonna use that slab or if they're just gonna reach over that slab, so they could potentially damage the slab in the course of doing the dredge.
Possibly, and I was thinking that they could actually use that ramp to get trucks in and out.
Well, they might, but I don't know what their plan is, but I think maybe that's something that we should possibly put in the RFP. If we use it and any damage occurs to it, then they should have to remediate it. That doesn't mean they're gonna change the length of it or the slope of it, but I mean, I don't know how we should address that as a body, but if they damage it in the process of using that for access,
Well, if they butts up any of it with train, they should be replacing it on their dime.
right, but you can't have them replace it,
To a new
by
track.
the way we want another great 5 feet out there or whatever. You can't
All
add on.
all we're doing is the one that's there, we're not adding.
You're asking that to
Do something different than what is.
Right.
That gets a little tougher. What if we just kept it separate and kept it like whole thing and made it just happen during the same time?
I don't think that that's the problem, I just think if they damage it during that, and you have to, because right now we're talking about just hopefully redoing the bottom section of it, maybe even cutting it. If they damage it farther up, that's another expense.
How much is it? How much do you think it costs to do the?
What did it cost last time?
Yeah.
$12,000, so that's,
At 50%.
Well, they could damage any of it with a train.
that's what I'm saying, right? So I don't know how that should be addressed, or if we just want to. You know,
Would that, I mean, I know we have you guys got a permit last year. That's good for 5 years, correct?
2 years ago, but yeah.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, cause I think anything you would do to a boat ramp is gonna need to go through Eagle in terms of having that permit, so that would need to actually be included as one of the exhibits to the RFP, so they would know what you're currently permitted for, if we just wanted to redo the work under that permit.
I don't think that's a problem to include that.
I don't think it's either.
I'm just trying to figure out how to pay for it. I mean, if
Yeah.
they're,
Well, if they,
I mean, it's feasible if they drive around the ramp and they just plop the dirt back up on the side of it. Or they have, backhoe here, he's loading over top of it, they don't touch it. If they don't damage it in any way, they shouldn't have anything to do with it, other than if we ask them to say, hey, while you're here, can you modify this?
or
That's
can you
like-
rebuild it? Yeah.
I think we need to include that in the RFP, because we need to do that anyway while we're doing this,
Right,
whether they damage it or not. Any damage to the existing concrete ramp should be removed, whatever's left, and rebuilt
so if
to
you want,
accommodate
if
the
you want
current
to
specs of the lake bottom.
verbiage in your RFP that says, on the bottom, you have probably some type of a drawing from last time, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So if you have that, say this bottom 15 feet as an addendum or, part of the RFP, I want that bottom 10 feet cut off and angled down.
Now, do you have a copy of that, right?
I don't think I'm copy of the permit.
They can include a number for that, and if there's any damage built from there, that would be theirs to cover. I mean, they may go into this saying, we're just gonna trash the whole thing,
Yeah, I was gonna say, how much does it cost to build the whole thing? 20 grand?
and he said it was $12,000.
And
12,000, I put in 50 feet, 16 feet wide by 50 feet long.
so how much do we add?
None.
None.
We can leave it right where it is. We just,
Oh, I get
we need to, like Norm suggested, we just cut it and push it underneath the downslope, because this is on piers. That's not gonna move. It may crack, but it's not gonna move. If this isn't on piers, and we should possibly be able to push it in underneath it.
If there's been a contention for people that have been washing their boats, and
Yeah.
if we're gonna go this far, we need to have it
Well,
addressed.
if you're doing the RFP, if you're the one bidding on the project, wouldn't you wanna know, hey, why don't you just let us redo your?
Well, if you ask them to do the bottom half, they might just say, you know what, I'm gonna redo the whole thing
Yeah.
anyway, because it makes
Right.
more sense to them.
Yeah.
That way, it's not gonna say, this is my
If it
piece.
gets
This
destroyed.
is somebody else's piece. Next year you come back, and say, oh, it's cracked here, but not
Yeah.
here.
Right.
It's your fault, just.
And they may have
Yeah,
the
that's
lake
why.
bottom beside the ramp, not on it too. You don't know, and then not touch it at all.
That's not a question for me, and that's up to them, how they want to act.
So maybe put it in there that they could use the boat ramp for, ingress egress to the lake bottom with replacement at completion or something?
A little piece of concrete that size for them is
That's nothing.
nothing. I mean, they can have that graded out in 15 minutes and. it'll take
Well, I'm
longer.
sure
It'll
they'll
take-
crack it. Aren't you really sure? they'll crack it?
excavator.
Yeah, they're gonna tear it apart.
said it's a 10-minute deal.
Yeah, for it. That's what I was gonna say.
So I don't know legally, Tim, where the money has to come from, whether it comes from the project, or if like LIPOA has to partner or maybe pay for some of that somehow, because they're tied together, but they're not tied together, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think if we damage it during the excavation process or the trucking in and out, that would be an allowable expense under the project, because it's, all work necessary to do it. And that would be necessary work, in my opinion. I don't have the permit. I can't remember if the permit was good for just adding the one section or replacing the one section, because if you go beyond that, is it gonna need a different permit if you're replacing half as opposed to that one slab?
Well, it was actually poured as one slab now. I did the upslope, still below 895.
Sure.
Now, I believe it was 50 feet or 60 feet. It's by 16 feet wide. That was all inclusive in that permit. So if anything happened, if it's upland, like
Sure.
where the posts are.
Yeah,
Well, actually, one section down from the post, I did not disturb that. But everything below that, I did.
If it's above the water, you don't need anything to eagle anyway.
Hmm?
If it's above, if you, any part of the concrete above the water.
No, I don't need it.
Right,
And that's what he was saying, that my permit encompassed all of that below the water.
okay,
Yeah.
so
So,
your permit is still valid.
yeah. I would
it's
think
good
so.
for 5 years, good for 3 more.
It's technically just restoration anyway.
Why don't we call it access road replacement? And put a spec of what we want in the end.
There you go.
For your concrete guy, what do you want?
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to draw a picture of what the ramp needs to be, what the slope needs to be, what the depth needs to be at the end. And then that's what we want when you're done.
So
Use the other part as access road, destroy it, do whatever the hell you want, but when it's complete, this is what the ramp will be when we're finished. And it'll be part of the
I
contract.
like that.
how far, or how much more depth do you need for people that were having trouble with their boats,
About 2 feet. 18
And if we're gonna dig 2 feet, then. it makes sense.
It needs to be put down, it needs to be put down to the grade of what the
Hole is,
new lake bottom is gonna be. It can rest on top of it, because we built it on top of what was the current grade. We're digging all around it and removing that material, we need to get down to that new grade.
if I look at your drawing from Eagle on here, it all starts east of your ramp.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's the end of the ramp also.
that circle, I agree.
Sure, by the scale, but they're
No,
not,
it's not
they're not
scale.
intersecting, I don't know what that difference is between the two. I don't think that Brian would be that picky about anything, but I mean,
As long as we stay within the 9,000 cubic yards is what this is gonna key on. When the, folks were here, when we walked over to the bay itself in December, because I had gone and looked at what the bottom looked like with no water in it. And I drew, and it looked like almost a hand, because you're gonna take 4 inches out over there and 10 here, and as you go towards the middle, it's gonna be deeper and deeper.
yeah, I mean, you talked to him, I didn't, I just wanna make sure if you, hey, these numbers you have on your 100 feet here, 100 feet here, if you were 70.
That was to get the scale of the interior of the bottom of the basin, so,
Into the yard.
yeah.
What's your average date that you have to close the sluice gate? Temperature.
It's based on temperature on the permit. I
34.
have not had to close it yet. It's come up automatically
So,
with the spring rain.
was it 34 or was it 39?
I had to do a full pool at 39. It's 34 when I had to start closing it, bringing it back up.
Well, what do we do next week when it gets 40 degrees?
What I'm getting at here, I mean,
Yeah.
it might be, we're not gonna make a selection until February 20th, and look what we got already in January, I mean. You think guys, I don't know if this is gonna be a 2-week project, like best case scenario, like say you'd have to close the gate and say March 1st.
Well, because we have this project, and if we're in the middle of the project, I'll notify the DEQ and the drain commissioner and our residents if we're gonna leave the gate open while we continue or finish the work in Birch Bay. We don't wanna do this, start it and stop it. It's a
Right.
in,
It's gotta
get
be
done,
started.
get out.
Right, they will let you adjust those dates.
Hmm?
They will let you adjust the refill date.
Yeah, that was one of the changes that we had made to the court order a decade ago, because the original court order had hard dates on it. It was like October 15th and April 15th. You know, they were hard dates, and I don't think anyone.
March 15th.
March 15th, yeah.
March 15th.
And even though that was in the court order, DEQ at the time was like, yeah, we don't care, we're still gonna do it based on, you know, temperature, or we're not gonna give you a permit, so. You know, we took the dates out so they could actually draw it down earlier if you wanted to in the fall for a project like this. Then have the refill date meet what the state wanted, so they wouldn't have a hesitancy on issuing a permit.
So if we're above 34, I know that's what the fisheries wanted for,
Right,
I think it was pike flying or something. like that.
Pike, correct.
They're, if it took another week for them to finish doing the work in the lake, they would be agreeable to extend it for a week, or
I would say yes, because we have an open permit.
is there some way we can ask for verification before we get this thing started? and create a
Yeah.
Problem.
I suppose the worst thing they can do is copper dam it.
Yeah,
You know, dredge it out, copper dam it, and it.
I don't know here.
Well, I know it is, but if that's what happens.
I'd have to do that a little bit anyway, because in order to break through, we're gonna get that channel back to the river, we're gonna have to move the water.
Yeah, that could be 20 feet, not
Right.
But
300
still,
feet.
to John's point, that it might need to be stopped.
Yeah,
Well, it's gonna have to be, you start opening that, dumping the water back into what we just dug out, you're gonna get wet feet.
unless they
and
dig
stuff
that,
goes-
unless they dig that out last, and they dig up to that, they dig that out.
Right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I was thinking.
Okay, and did you talk to anybody, George, about,
I talked to Brenda. Coming on two Fridays from now ago. And, she was the office manager, the manager for Hupchers, and she said, yes, he didn't know why that would be a problem. But she had to make a phone call, and that guy isn't in until Monday and get back with me Monday. She did not return my call, and so I called her again last Wednesday, and I left her a message. Then I called her again, it was twice again this week, and I have not heard back. So that is my understanding, is what you were saying, that it is in transition right now. Possibly with Hard Creek, so, and that being the case, she can't commit to anything. You know, it's kind of a bad time for them. Or Hard Creek, yeah, go ahead and put it in. You know, so it's.
You talked to Steve?
And, no, just Brenda. And, I did talk to Chafee. He said that he would take a couple loads on his property up on Wiley Road. Cause he's got that in Barley. He said, he's in Florida. He said, I have my son check it. If it's good, you can bring me a lot more. And which is just north, it's north of the corner of Drew and, was it Airline? And it's the first road to the
no,
left.
that's south of your line.
South Carolina, yeah. And, so that gives the place a little bit further away, but, and then messaging with, Bill, Beitler, Tim talked to him or emailed with him, and he did not call me back this week, so. I did meet with the county last Wednesday, he came out. I took them the permit, the money. They calculated everything out. It's interesting that, the borrow pits up way above on, up on Barcelona, don't need to be worried about that for a permit, he said. It's so far away from the lake. And he said, beside your office, in between the office and the shop, that, what was it, 220 yards, I believe? He said that requires this permit, and then, I showed Steve where we had talked about, right there at the entrance of the drive of the park on the north side. And he said, yeah, you definitely gotta have a permit for that too. So He's aware of
You're
all
talking
that.
about the silt fence type permit.
It has to have a soil erosion permit. We have to put a silt fence in on the little runoff, the creek side of the park, and get it in seed first thing in the spring. Likewise with the area between the shop and the office, due to proximity to the lake. So I've got that check, Larry just signed the other half of that check tonight. I'm gonna go, I overpaid them by $25. I said, keep it on account. You got more coming. He said, I can't do it. All right. So I'm going back by in the morning, drop that off. So that'll be engaged. With approval of those 3 locations. He said, I talked about Flooding Hill. I said, we're talking about maybe doing it over here. And he said, don't recommend it. How you gonna hold it there? How you gonna hold it there? And, I really couldn't answer that one, so it's, he said, I wouldn't suggest that anywhere around here. And, he said, if you get it real far away, okay, but, and this has all led me to believe, due to the timing, the way the weather is now, the lake's probably gonna come up a little bit. I've been holding it down as far as I can. We may have to look at a B option if we are able to get out yet this year. It's gonna be, I think it's gonna be too wet to get to the borrow pit. You're not gonna be able to get a truck in there. If you put it there in the park, it's gonna be a big mess. Even in between the shop and the office, same thing, how are they gonna get in there? It's got a hill that you have to go down and get back out without getting stuck. But the ground isn't frozen. You know, I plowed some of these, our parks in the entrances. I don't like that stuff. I'm in the dirt getting stuck because I sink. So I know a dump truck will. So Norm and I had talked previously about actually where we would maybe cut the fence to go into the Beitler farm, just rolling it, putting it in a stack on the north side of the campground. There's a holding, and that's far enough away. I gave a copy to Tim. It's a little over 900 feet away from the lake, so we don't need to worry about silt fences or anything. But that'd be a good place to hold it. If we don't have the opportunity because of no frost, because of the way this weather's turned out, as a temporary holding location until we can distribute it. Unless we're taking it to the pits.
Yeah.
You know, on this side. If we're gonna try to do something on the other side, you know, for Chafee or the pits or between the shop and the office, we can just put it all back there. It's just a timing thing now.
So. I think it goes back to this RFP and all 10 little yellow spaces. You want me to try to do? Maybe we can get the definitive answer, or we can say, well, when back to the power. I think the longer we wait, the less the chance we have to get anything done.
We closed our window for this winter.
Not to be negative, but I don't think getting machines on the ground this winter is that feasible.
I don't either know.
I mean, by February 20th, you're gonna be battling the weather, everything's gonna be sloppy. We're still waiting on some answers. I mean, I'm not. You know, we can still keep trying. We're making progress on stuff regardless, so maybe we can keep. See what they say. I don't.
Once we get the bids from the contractors, then some of the input will come from them, whether
You
they
can't,
can
you
handle
can't
it
get
right
a bid for them, so you know where you're gonna.
You gotta
Yeah.
tell them where you're gonna put the stuff, let's just say we're gonna use our sewer pits.
Yeah.
For now, get this going, make this happen, and when it comes down to time to make the decision, then maybe we'll have some answers made at that time. I would not expect that Hubsher's pit is gonna be available in the next 2 months. Due to the sale, it's just probably not gonna happen fast.
The sewer pits those tanks over there are always there for us.
That's correct, and it may be, you know, we need to get our feet wet and looking at what filling those is entailing. And a small job that might be perfect.
Filling with some from this side, so you're not trucking all the way around. That was the.
Yeah, and then get some experience with it and know what we wanna do over there, because standing here and talking about it around tables is great until we stand out there and really know what needs to happen. And, that might be a good decision for the contractor to make, so let's move forward on this RFP, get it out there, see what, we might not even get a response back, contractors might look at us, and say, you guys are nuts.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything, and we might not get anything back, just like Brent said.
Might say, they might say it's too late here.
That's correct, that's correct, and,
They might put frost laws on it.
so right now, I'm trying to get a septic hole dug for a sanitarian in Acosta County.
Look,
Joe doesn't wanna start his equipment to bring it over to do it, he's gonna be putting it in, but he doesn't, he says, well, I don't wanna put that on there and get it all salty and do that. So that's what he just told me, so we're trying to find a guy over there that's got a backhoe in his garage, we know he does. And we're over tapping on his door saying, come dig this for us, you know, but right now excavators are shut down. And when it's 3 degrees outside, they have zero interest in starting their equipment, period. And if it's 20 degrees outside, they don't have any interest in starting their equipment.
Well, a lot of them think this winter to put them back in.
To put them back together, and that's correct.
Put it back in shape.
Right. And that might be what we find is we get 0 proposals. And all the excavators say, nope, nah, our equipment's down, or another reason or another, that they're not even gonna look at.
Well,
Yeah.
I agree, we need to get the RFP done.
Yeah.
We need to get it done, polished out there, there may not,
Well, the
because
only,
of all these factors, we may not, it
the
may
only
not be as
option you have
urgent.
then is the lagoon garden, that's the only option you have.
Well, that we don't.
So let's name it on it, let's name it and say, may change
Yeah.
as the project progresses.
That's exactly what I was gonna say, you know, if we list that as a site and include, you know, we may have alternative sites, but there will not be any further distance
There you
than
go.
this.
Yep.
To me, that's the most important factor.
That is the most important factor,
All
is the
right,
distance away.
But your other point too, Todd, is 100% correct, because when these last 2 big storms rolled through, we started having conversations with Mally about, hey, are we gonna need to bring the grader out to start rolling windrows back, because it's getting so high that we can't throw snow over it. They're like, well, our John Deeres are shut down and our Champion's in the shop, but it's buried behind all the equipment. It's gonna take a day of moving stuff around to get it out.
They stack all their stuff inside as they're gonna do maintenance to it.
Yep. So,
That could be possible, but let's move forward with this and then just see what kind of response we get. And then just be able to be fluid enough to react to what we need to.
I guess at the very least, we get a couple contractors that are willing to bid it, whatever. Better idea on the budget.
That too.
Well, and timing.
the thing
Well, I think they would, this could have been done.
You may get a guy.
End of November.
They came right in and got it done.
You may get a guy to come out there and say, I'll jump on it tomorrow kind of thing, but you may say, I'll, I can't do that.
Since we're in a governmental entity, something that's not happening fast.
here's the other question for you on the RFP. Do you wanna hold it open for them to do the work in the fall if they can't do it in the spring?
I think it's a good idea.
yes,
And then by then, hopefully you'll have one of the closer locations. I mean, I don't know. What to do.
Absolutely.
At least you'll have
I think
you probably
down,
have a lot better turnout contractor wise with that option.
and then the Hubshire pit thing, maybe by that. That'd be great.
You know,
I'll talk to Joe.
this is a
See what he
pretty,
has to say.
this is a pretty aggressive timeline in terms of getting it out and getting bids back in my opinion, for, you know. I don't know if that tight of window is gonna turn anybody off to bid either, just because, you know,
Well,
You have the option if you're to do it this way next fall, I guess that.
Yeah.
Might pique a lot more people's interest.
And there might be somebody out there that's hungry. Too.
the issue is it came back to how long it took to get the permit back from the state. That's 90 days. When we first started meeting, I said, probably gonna be 3 months, and it- almost to the day, 3 months. So that kind of held us back to really engage in all these next processes that we're working on now.
I don't think we've been held back by anything. This process needs to unfold as it is, I think.
Well, yeah,
And
but timing wise with our weather, that We had a great drawdown going. It was dry, a little bit warm. It would have been great to jump in there and do it. And
Well, in
I'm
that
not-
case,
it's so stinking wet right now that I don't know what we put dump trucks out in the parks or where we're gonna put this stuff other than on hardpan to get there. They'll get stuck and then we'll do cleanup, all these other things will have to happen.
if the permits are good for 5 years, let's get another couple in, like maybe South Park or whatever also.
Well, it still won't change our,
It won't change, it won't change our plan
budget.
that we're doing now, but it'll expedite what we're doing.
Well, it's gonna be another 90 days for a permit.
yeah, what I'm saying is you're gonna start collecting money on Tim's looking at.
Well, if you look at in the budget I gave you, I put going out for the River and Riviera permit
Right.
a year before we're doing the project. Because I think as we roll out more of these, it's gonna be looked at more as you're over the 10,000 cubic yards because of the totality of what you're doing. And to give us that cushion in case they push it to a red file with the EPA. Like, I would not wanna wait till, 4th of July next year to start pulling the permit for the river and being told, hey, you're gonna take a year, cause it's gotta go through Chicago and the EPA. As opposed to just Lansing, and then you lose fall of next year.
And expedite permits,
Yeah.
if we're talking a 5-year window, we're gonna be well into our project in 5 years, and if we
Yeah.
get paperwork in our hand, we can do it.
Yeah, I think any of the big spots, the river and the south end, we should realistically be 12 to 14 months out. Starting the permit process from when we expect to actually break ground on those. The smaller ones, Essex Bay, Lincoln, where you're taking 1,000 cubic yards, I think those probably will slide through. But the bigger ones, I'm getting more concerned about from Lansing's view on the world.
Well, it was just that one sentence they had on the permits, has any other work been done at this location?
Yeah,
Was the location Lake Isabella
correct.
or is it Birch Bay? So I said, no. So.
No,
And I'll say no when I submit par.
But that don't mean they'll tell you yes.
That's correct.
Well, I'm saying expedite the bloody permits, cause once we have them in our hand, we're gonna do the work anyway, just it may not be this year, maybe next fall. Get her done. And the sooner we get permits, the less likely it is they're gonna change the regulations on us again.
Would be grandfathered.
So looking at your budget, you would have the money. If we for some reason could not do the park this winter. You would have the funds to do the park and the river both in 25?
yeah, when we do Birch Bay is irrelevant in this because the way it's structured here is we do it in February or March. And the first 180,000 that we collect in July and August repays that. So that money's not shown in here at all because this is reflecting the bank account with Mercantile Bank. So we would deal with that as a journal entry. We wouldn't transfer the money just to transfer it back. That wouldn't make any sense.
But in starting in July through August, you have the income on there.
Yeah, so, I don't show any July or August 24 because that was what I was banking was gonna repay that, so.
Right.
So you do it in the fall, you have all that income to come in. If not, you still take the loan out from the
But
general fund.
they've been dredging and clear.
Yeah.
This winter, so there's no reason with what I'm seeing on income, they couldn't start that project
Correct,
in the fall.
yeah, 100%.
Unless it's zero.
And even,
It's zero, but
and even if tax collections roll in slow, say we're only got 100,000 or 120, we can still hit that general fund loan and just repay it.
yeah, but you're not gonna pay the contractor. Until he's coming, you may have a progress payment, but you're not gonna have to pay it all at one time.
Correct, yeah.
So if they start that project, they can have, monthly draws, however we wanna structure it.
I think the RFP, I had it in there as monthly right now.
Okay.
Well, if it's a 2-week project, then they just bill you and you pay them, right?
Pretty much, I'd hope so.
Well, I don't think
But-
the hydraulic dredge is gonna be too.
Well, no, the river's not gonna be.
But they can, that may be something else, you could easily get to Joe does buy that property.
See, I don't think it's gonna be a 2-week project. It's gonna be a 2-week project to get the dirt out of the lake bottom.
Yeah,
It's not gonna be a 2-week project to move all that dirt to where it's gonna end up going. So you're
right,
gonna,
when the contractors were here in December.
Yeah.
they almost wanted to put it in the truck
Just take it and go.
and dump it. They didn't wanna put it down, and pick it back up again. I don't see how that's,
Sure,
makes sense, but that's not my,
yeah, I would think the alternative, but
I can see where it would save them time by putting it down and picking it back up again and then
yeah,
not having to mess to clean up, so, but. And I don't see
But
why,
we still drive it over to the lagoon and get rid of it.
no, and if Joe does buy that property and is agreeable to having the spoils, I don't see why they couldn't pump it there too. It's not that much farther than Lucky's. You can go underneath the bridge on Round, underneath the bridge on Drew Road and up the hill there and ready to do his pit. Then have to cross any roads. Can all be done under, you know, in the river channel as it goes up. So that might be another,
So we just go upstream on the east side of the river all the way up instead of coming back across on the west.
yeah, just go underneath Drew or underneath Brown and.
Well, we'd have to calculate how much further that is.
It's a push, but
It's probably about another 1,200 feet, I'm guessing.
I'm sure they have another pump they can put in.
Yeah, it's gonna have to have another
If they're
pump.
turning their pipe around and heading back to Lucky's property, that might straighten it out and it might be the same. Not that far up there,
Well, Lucky's is gonna jump out right after you got out of the bridge.
was it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And so we'd have to go keep going on up to get out of the bridge on Drew.
But it's nice to have both those options for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, make a phone call. Put that on your to-do list. It'll work. If you'll take it. You know, cause it's my understanding what you were saying, Tracy, is they have an agreement on that already, right?
Yeah. it's 30 days
It
out.
just hasn't transferred yet.
30 days out right now.
This hasn't closed yet.
So. We're all in agreement, we're gonna list the lagoon property as. The location for now, and it might have a chance to be,
And worded so that they know that there's other,
Maybe other options
Right.
closer.
they may be even closer,
yeah, I mean. It is,
yeah.
we're getting closer to that, but it's probably. Probably a mile or less than that. And
Good job.
fuel, time is time.
Is that what you're looking up at there, Tim? Beitler?
guys looking at how much of the field is down here, it's 20 acres down here. What do we want to sell us at?
And this right here is what I was talking to the staging right here. When it came down to. it.
Yeah,
Is that split rail or is that metal fence?
It's farm fence, yeah, no.
yeah.
Side cutters,
This,
burned up.
Is there a hollow in there somewhere?
20 acres
right here.
Now, how big is that, did you say?
Here to here is 20 acres.
And that would be close. 900 feet away.
Yeah, that'd be a little further actually.
Right.
Even then, if we put that straight back, you know, follow the road, go straight back. With, getting the trucks in and out this time of year with this weather and the ground conditions would be an issue for us.
Dig out of it.
Yeah, this house is in the other one.
Okay. So,
Be nice if you wanted to sell that.
100%, that's what I'm thinking,
Yeah,
20 acres.
yeah, buy it.
One time try to buy
Oh, yeah. We did.
For anything. They're not
He
using it for
wanted to-
anything, they don't use it for farm.
You've done it.
I don't-
I can definitely do Sledding Hill area.
He was not
Far enough away. You wanna do something like that?
I wouldn't do that. Turn it. Fill it and use it.
What happens, you don't know.
Batteries and stuff on it.
I
He's been that way.
Is that for growing anything?
No.
They're doing.
I was gonna say, I thought he did. He's the word.
So if we list the Goose property, Tim, when would you wanna send this out? To contractors,
Now,
I mean, who's the better?
but we need to vote on this, where we wanna put it.
but it says you just got to, why don't you look at it through email, let me know if you have anything you want changed, and I'll try and get out Monday.
Okay.
That gives you all weekend.
Yeah.
Cause I'm gonna add in there, these are the list of the contractors that we're sending it to, and,
Thought you were going on vacation.
no, I have a conference Tuesday, Wednesday next week, I'm going.
Well, put in there, Tim, that wells that are put anywhere other than the pits, if the material need to be graded and seeded, or at least graded.
A lot of times that type of remediation is automatically part of the soil erosion permit if it's associated with it.
But if it went on Violet's property, there's no
And if
permit.
there's no soil erosion permit, then we might have to specify that.
Goes in the loom, there's no permit. If it goes in Joe's property, there's no permit.
Yep. Sure.
Well, he's
Joe's
close.
property is within 500 feet of navigable water.
Also would have to fill up its.
That is within 500, that's what I was getting ready to ask. Is that within
Joe's
500?
would be that pit, the river runs right next to it.
Does it?
Yeah, but you got a 75-foot hill, they have to go over and over the top of.
You know, soil erosion people don't think practically generally. They don't care.
Norm, I had to put in,
Whatever kind of fun it takes to fill that pit is gonna be pretty much wiped out everything else.
I had to put in a silt fence on the lake bottom during the drawdown when we were putting in steel seawalls. That's gonna hold back.
They came to my house, probably snow too.
It's almost like being in the military.
Yeah.
He said, doesn't matter.
Took up to the sidewalk and he wanted me to put a silt fence around, so I took up the sidewalk, but we got.
Because it's within 400 feet of the water, you need to not more than 50 square feet.
50 square feet.
That's what I get. Within 500 feet, then it requires a permit.
Wanted me to plant grass. You realize it's-
No, that's in acres and permit by rule. That's in like subdivision development and stuff like that.
Make a long story short.
Yeah, so I would go that system. That's like old 1990 stuff.
What happened to the seeds? Had a lot of birds here.
Okay. So I'll look at that proposal, and anybody wants to make changes, let's send it back to Tim and hopefully we can get this out. Before he goes, please.
Once this agreement goes out and the contractor, are we able to amend it at all?
Not after he signed it, unless we.
No, but I'm saying if whoever bids on it, or one or all of them, come up with a better idea than what we have for.
They can put it. on
Logical
voluntary alternate. I'm
purposes.
not opposed to that. If They got a better idea, it's. As long as it's, they have one bid that meets this requirement, if they've got an alternate they wanna supply, I don't see why we should turn that down. I mean, I think.
Well, we should all look at it then.
A voluntary alternate would be something we have to talk about, but I mean, why not, by Hank?
Yeah.
Well, then you have to open the agreement again to make it equal.
I don't think so, I submit voluntary alternates all the time, and the
Okay.
architect specs out something that makes absolutely no sense, and then I can give the customer the kind of warranty they want
Okay.
for 35-40% less, they just say, oh yeah, I want that.
See, we didn't put in there a specific, like, this is how you have to do the project.
No.
We asked you for the work plan.
It's a performance spec, so do it how you want.
Do how you
It
want,
just
yeah.
has to be like this when it's done.
Yeah.
Right, remove this amount of dirt and put it somewhere
Yeah.
within that permit. You wanna take it in wheelbarrows, they can take it in wheelbarrows. right?
Sure.
We don't care.
Anybody else have any discussions for the RFP? Okay, we have two members of the general public. You guys have comments or concerns or questions? Nope.
You guys got this down.
Yeah, I mean, you've answered pretty much our questions, so.
You don't, big place you'd rather be today.
And I think, you know, the public is gonna have all these when questions, and we
Right.
can't answer that.
Right.
We got a lot of neighbors that ask us, you know, because it's hard, like,
So do we,
you know, that they can't get here by a certain time and, you know.
Generally speaking, send them to us, third-hand information usually.
Oh, I know. I sent them down to
Gets
George.
sleep A little bit.
if no George is the best answer, that's what he's here for.
Well, yeah.
You know, for our association and to answer
Come
those
bring,
questions.
come bring coffee, and because we've been talking to George for a long time.
That's why we have him.
Yeah, but they have an understanding when they leave.
And I'm just gonna say, I think George and I have worked really well on this. Like, I have no problem putting some of these questions over to him that, you know, he's got the permit, he's more familiar with it. I'm dealing more with the finance and the legal end of it. I think we're working really well. And, you know, I have no problem like, hey, you need to talk to George as opposed to me.
I haven't had any negative feedback from
No.
anybody that was upset about anything.
No, I think we're doing really good
Gonna get it
together.
done, that's.
Well,
The
let's,
when question.
But
Yeah.
the one question, the best answer is take a look at the weather.
Yeah.
That's the biggest wild card.
Yeah.
That's what I told the guy today, came
Yeah,
in.
it's the wild card that we've been talking
I
about.
said, the weather change, it messes up.
Yep.
And you're gonna put a line item in, Tim, about the boat ramp between you and George, figure out.
Yeah, we'll figure out wording on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll pull my original specs out of what, how we built it, so we'll know what we need to do to.
So that leaves us about the next meeting, but I don't. Do we need anything before the RFP goes out? I mean, we've already decided what we wanna put in there.
No, I don't think you do, but I think so I have it due Friday, the 16th. If our council meeting stays on its normal date in February, which would be Tuesday, the 20th. Would you guys want to meet on Friday when the bids come in, or when we do the opening as a committee and make a recommendation then, or Monday or Tuesday before the council meeting? I know we've typically stuck to Wednesdays, but
I think you should have your meeting before get the bid opening, before you have your council meeting to.
I would agree.
approve any funds.
Yeah,
Okay, would you want a meeting during the bid opening? Or after?
I don't see a reason why you couldn't hold the meeting and open the bids right there.
That's what I think,
That would,
because everybody needs to look through those bids.
Yeah.
Because what Norm looking at something and he says this, and I'm looking at the same thing, I missed it, or whatever.
Well, if everybody's here for the opening, you can compile a list of questions for each, hopefully have multiple. Each contractor did say, okay, he said doing this. I mean, I want
If we have to get that deep. The numbers might tell us right directly that we don't care about anybody else beyond this number.
So if you get a number that's crazy high and crazy low, then you gotta ask why.
Yeah.
when's the bid opening?
Crazy low is good, start the project came in.
Right now, I wrote it for Friday, the 16th at 4 p.m.
15th of February.
14th or 16th of February.
16th
Friday.
Right here in big red letters.
So would you wanna meet then like the following, you wanna open them on that Friday, or you want to open them the week after?
You gotta open them next,
Open them the same day.
we're looking to approve them the Tuesday after that.
Okay.
So it's either Friday, Monday, or Tuesday before the meeting. I think any of those are perfectly fine. Because we're gonna need to go through each one and make sure that they meet the minimum specs in terms of the bid bond and those other things.
Yeah, you do your due diligence for
Yeah.
sure.
So we can meet, 4:30 on Friday, 5, I don't, or Monday, Tuesday.
If they gotta be here by 4, we're gonna meet at 4.
We're supposed to be here by 4.
The bids have to be here at 4.
Monday, just in case somebody's late.
I'd say Monday.
Monday, just in case somebody's late.
If they're late, we don't.
They're late,
We
we
don't.
don't-
Take
Oh,
it.
you have to take it.
No,
Oh, no, it says Friday,
it says directly, if it's not sitting on
If
the
it's
desk at
late,
4 o'clock.
somebody could say we had four
But
bids.
nobody picks,
$5
wait till
for this
Friday
guy.
to see if somebody will bring it anyway. That's it.
We're gonna have Dave rules for
this is not an
I've
election.
been disappointed before. Yeah.
Now, as far then as far as RFP goes, Tim, when we, do we set a start time and a projected end time
This is not an election.
For what?
I've got bid date.
for the project? On the
You
RFP.
can't do that with weather.
Yeah, I mean, it's in there we gotta do the back end, we gotta do the end time, because that was the question they had about, everyone wants to stay with the fall,
Right.
you know.
Here at 4 o'clock.
If
So we should
let's
have all-
say-
Yeah.
we release this RFP, we get the bid, we select
Here, we'll open
our,
Or what if they just come out and say, I don't wanna do it till the fall?
well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Do we leave that open and say this project may be postponed until the fall based on weather conditions?
Here's an important question for you guys, George and I are talking about. You know, what if we do the bids and they come back in and, you know, the preferred bid says, I don't wanna do it till the fall? Do we look at someone that wants to do it in March more favorably than someone that wants to do it in October or November?
If the March person's price is higher, no.
I would like to see them do March, but
And if the February price is lower, yes.
Sure.
Yes, we base it on price and then let them, I guess, choose.
Yeah,
Based on price,
Because they're gonna be the ones living and dying with that number
Yeah.
also.
based on the criteria that they have fulfilled against what
Correct.
we're requiring.
Correct.
And that's what I was asking Tim, what if? Let's say the weather doesn't hold out for any of them. And we get bid to say, I'll do it in February or I'll do it in March, but it's just not gonna work. Do we need to put a provision in this RFP to say, that states that due to weather conditions, this work may not start until the next drawdown this fall. So the project may not start for 6 months.
Yeah.
They can't,
yeah,
So,
and they can't put it back in a pickup truck and move 10,000 yards, so if the county comes down and says, okay, no more trucks on the roads, that's pretty much the end of it.
And Joe was thinking that was gonna happen soon.
I would agree with you.
and that's why
From what I'm hearing.
running back and forth across Queensway through my parking lot and piling it back in the campground would work. Even with frost laws, right?
Yeah.
Across the road.
Just crossing
Yeah.
it, back and forth, back,
And that's our road, it's not a county road either, so
but
you,
true.
you know,
So most, that would be the best thing to have happen, is
Startability.
ideal, right? We have to probably make a inquiry about that availability of that property.
I think so.
Or he wants to retain that record, just say, you know.
Yeah.
Here's the type of, whatever that number is.
Right.
Yeah.
I put it there, we'll pay you to put it there, based on what we're thinking. I got that, question we can ask the contractors, if you moved it from here across the road to here, how much cheaper would that be than going over here? If he says $60,000 cheaper, you could offer that to the neighbor for having a portion of the neighbor. the same-
Right. Say, hey,
That's a good
we
idea.
wanted nothing to-
Or they price that out by mile, so it's,
Probably mileage and time, both for them to go back and forth.
right, so if you found a spot that was closer, you would dump that.
Yeah,
well, yeah, but if we're gonna start deducting from what our bid is, then they're probably gonna put a clause in there that says there may be a
fuel
an
escalator
extra
charge.
we haven't accounted for, but they wanna come back to the.
Yeah, I think that's a dangerous game to play, because if you do
Right.
that, you're gonna have to watch it like a fuel escalator clause, because we say we'll take you in November. And Lord only knows, all of a sudden diesel's at $6 a gallon instead of wherever it's at now, they're gonna come back and say, hey, you know, it's gonna cost us more to truck this now.
They want an addendum to it, and that's a slippery slope.
well, if they agree to do it. I guess if you have that clause in there about, you know, frost laws, whatever, our goal is to do this winter, but it may
Yeah.
run out of time and it may force our hand to next fall.
Yeah.
They might say, okay, you know, I can't bid this, or
Yeah.
maybe we need to have.
Well, they're gonna want something for fuel costs.
They might put something in the price that says, you know, listed at today's diesel's $4.79 a gallon.
It'll be revisited if it is pushed out to the fall, be revisited at that time,
Talk about that.
Yeah.
based on fuel
I think
prices.
that's fair. I put that on my list, and I don't,
Yeah.
the material was jumping weekly at one point. I just, this is your price today. If I start your project tomorrow, maybe different. It seemed ridiculous, but that's the only way I could cover
It was happening,
myself.
still happening.
It's slowed way down though. Some material actually came down.
I think we just need to move forward and do it. And react to the situations that are presented to us.
No pre-bid or anything, and no meeting of contractors on site,
I think you did that in December.
but it wasn't an actual pre-bid.
We have it in there that if you wanna schedule site visits, then we can do that. You know,
We did every vendor that came in, this vendor. Perfect.
At least those vendors that did participate in December got to see the bank.
Yeah, some of
And
them,
now you can't, it's
some
all,
of them wanted to see the lagoon property, I would imagine they
Yeah.
probably would want to see
yeah,
it
that's
again
right, yeah.
before they submit their bids.
yeah, we're gonna need to clean up the entrance of that, if you just get back there now.
You take it back over there.
Do we have the equipment to clean it, to get us access to the lagoons?
You, I mean,
If you get that berm out where they can drive the truck back there, that's so.
Yeah.
One bucket at a time, right?
like Johnny Cash on the
Out
car,
on the corner of baseline and schools, you gotta get out of the way.
one piece at a time.
Once you get that out of the way, you can drive back there.
You can actually poke a hole in that basin back there to drive through and down, you can't.
Home basin.
Yeah, the basin's gotta run all the way around it.
They can make a ramp on the way down.
Making that very equal.
They'll make a ramp.
Most of it's down below standard grade over there. There's no dike that goes above standard grade
Correct, yeah.
that I recall. Maybe on the east end. There might be
Southeast
something.
there, yeah, that goes loose.
Yeah, when you come in from the northwest,
It's.
and it's at grade level, it's the berm, it's bermed on the south.
Yeah, way down.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna meet on the 16th, 4 o'clock.
Yep.
Anybody else have any other questions or concerns they wanna talk about before the meeting?
You need to see, we'll see what they come up with.
Then we can adjourn at 4:57.
Thank you, Trace.